Unveiled, the amazing transformation of Fredegund, a heartwarming story of love and scandal. Fredegund stood at the counter of the Poppy Diner, her hands deftly working the coffee pot, pouring steaming mugs for the regulars as she smiled brightly, hoping to hide the fatigue tugging at her bones. Each cup she served felt like a little piece of herself she was giving away, yet her heart swelled with dreams for Lily, her bright-eyed daughter who deserved so much more. The townsfolk were a stubborn lot, and though the diner was filled with laughter and chatter, whispers of distrust lingered just out of sight. Fredegund felt it. She felt the stares, the comments brushed off with a chuckle but laced with judgment. "She's just an immigrant, they'd say. What does she know about our Maplewood?" Her worn apron stained with pancake batter and coffee grounds told the story of her long hours, the sacrifices she made for her daughter's future. And yet, there was a flicker of hope each day as she served Sam, the town's war hero. He'd sit at the counter, recounting tales of bravery and community bonding. "This town is built on hard work and acceptance, Fredegund," he'd say, his voice steady and warm. Those words wrapped around her heart like a comforting blanket. Generosity and community spirit were supposed to define Maplewood, yet as the annual summer festival loomed on the horizon, Fredegund felt the weight of its absence. Everyone else was excited, sharing whispers of pie-eating contests and carnival rides, but all she caught were the toxic hushed tones behind her back. Just as she thought she'd found her footing, Marcy, a fellow waitress with a fiery temper, took it upon herself to stir the pot, letting loose stories of Fredegund's past, stories that were woven from jealousy instead of truth. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Fredegund poured her heart into the diner, serving each plate with dignity, but each day, Marcy's barbs grew sharper, echoing in her ears, urging her to give up. Then came the festival, a target for Marcy's schemes. The tents were slashed, decorations strewn about like broken dreams. The heart of the town was crumbling, and so was Fredegund's spirit, but something deep inside her ignited. "I want to be silenced," she yelled to herself one evening, rallying the townsfolk in defiance against hate. With Sam by her side, Fredegund became a force. She reminded the people of Maplewood of their roots, how they had all faced storms together. The echoes of unity rang pure: "We rise together or fall apart." As the excitement swirled around the festival, threats of Marcy's new slanders loomed heavy, her shadows creeping back into the light. Fredegund's courage resonated, but would it be enough? Just as the crowd began to reflect the hope she brought, a voice rose from the back, demanding answers. Had her battle only begun? The crossroads loomed, and Fredegund's heart raced as she faced the unresolved scruples, leaving the question hanging in the air: could acceptance truly blossom from the ashes of ignorance? Fredegund stood at the threshold of the diner that day, her heart pounding like a drum. The air felt electric, buzzing with nervous energy as townsfolk filled the space, eager for laughter and solace. But beneath the smiles, she could sense the tension. It was the day after the festival's sabotage, and Marcy's words hung like a storm cloud ready to burst. The small town had come to watch her, and she could feel all their eyes probing her soul. "Hey there, Fredegund," Sam called from his usual seat at the counter, waving her over with a grin. His presence was a comfort, like a lighthouse drawing her back to shore amidst the chaos that threatened to engulf her spirit. She forced herself to smile, knowing his optimism could lift the weight even if just for a moment. As she poured him a cup of coffee, she looked around. The other patrons chatted warily, their voices low. Even the clatter of plates felt subdued. Marcy had succeeded in making her a target, and Fredegund felt small in this familiar place that had become her haven. "Just keep your head up," Sam said, as if reading her thoughts. "You've got us behind you. Does it matter? She whispered, her voice barely breaking through the noise. I've done all this hard work, and still Fredegund, he interrupted gently, his eyes steady and warm. You've done more for this town than anyone knows. They need to see that strength, not just in you but in themselves too. We all do. She nodded, drawing strength from his belief, even if her heart felt heavy with doubt. But just then, the door swung open with a jarring hush, and Marcy walked in. The atmosphere shifted, the energy turning dark and cold like autumn's first chill. Marcy's eyes danced with mischief, a twisted smile playing on her lips. Whispers followed her like a shadow. Fredegund could almost hear the collective gasp from the crowd. Look who graced us with her presence, Marcy said, her voice dripping with faux sweetness as she sashayed to the counter. She leaned against it, arms crossed, exuding a cocky confidence. I hope you've all enjoyed the decorations I helped remove from the festival. Quite the mess, wasn't it? Fredegund felt the crowd's tension snap like a brittle twig. They turned their gazes from Marcy to her, waiting for her response, a collective moment of anticipation hanging in the air. It felt like a challenge, as if Marcy sought to pit them against each other, yet Fredegund's heart ignited with determination. Actually, Marcy, Fredegund began, her voice surprisingly steady as she gripped the edge of the counter, the beauty of this town is in its resilience. We all fell together, but we'll rise together too. Sam's approving nod came as a comfort, fueling her resolve. The words felt powerful, gathering strength from the depths of her spirit. A ripple of agreement surged through the diner, and for the first time, smiles broke the surface like beams of sunshine. As Marcy recoiled, the townspeople began to look at each other, nodding in reluctant agreement. Fredegund's heart raced. Could it be true? Had she reached them? You think your little words can change anything? Marcy scoffed, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Maybe, Fredegund shot back, unafraid. But it's a start. The room fell silent, the weight of her statement sinking in. And just as she thought she might carve a path through the fog, a familiar face appeared from the back of the diner, a face Fredegund never expected to see. Mom. Lily's voice broke through the tension, her eyes wide with concern. Fredegund felt her heart lift and crumble all at once. Lily. She whispered, barely able to catch her breath, as her eyes met her daughter's. The crowd turned to Lily, the fear of the moment broke, paving a way for something new. What had she set in motion with her simple truth? Would this be the beginning of her daughter's journey as well? The air crackled with unanswered questions. Fredegund could feel change stirring, but would it unite them or tear them apart? Fredegund's heart raced as she took in the sight of her daughter, Lily standing there with wide-eyed worry. Everything else faded into background noise, the murmur of the diner dimming to a muted hum. All at once, Fredegund felt both pride and panic swell within her. Lily was a constant in the chaos. She could see the girl's heartbeat in the way her chest rose and fell, her hands nervously gripping the strap of her backpack. Mom, what is going on? Lily asked, taking a cautious step forward. Her voice quavered a bit, but Fredegund could feel the steel resolve behind it. At that moment, the world shrank down to just the two of them. Fredegund opened her mouth, but the words tangled in her throat. Could she explain what was happening? Could she share the burden of fear and uncertainty blooming in her heart? Just then, Marcy, feeling ignored in the spotlight, scoffed loudly enough to divert attention. Look at that. The prodigal daughter returns to witness her mother's downfall, she sneered, spinning around to address the crowd. Such a touching reunion, isn't it? Everyone loves a scandal. Gasps of outrage echoed through the diner as patrons bristled at Marcy's words. Fredegund felt heat rise in her cheeks, a mix of anger and embarrassment. But the fire in her chest ignited anew, fueled by her love for Lily. She wasn't going to let Marcy's taunts take root. Enough! Fredegund shouted, her voice echoing against the diner walls. All eyes snapped back to her. This is not how we act. Scandal or not, my daughter deserves respect. Lily's eyes glimmered with surprise and something else, pride. In that moment, Fredegund saw the reflection of her own fierce spirit in her daughter's gaze. Mom, Lily stepped forward, now more emboldened. I heard about the festival. I came to help. We can fix this. Fredegund's heart brimmed with a warmth that pushed away the chill. You're right, we can, she affirmed, locking eyes with her daughter. Together. The townsfolk began to murmur amongst themselves. Slowly, the tension in the air shifted, morphing into something palpable. Sam, sensing the change, jumped in, that's the spirit. We all have a part to play. This town belongs to each and every one of us. Fredegund felt hope blossom. This wasn't just about her or Marcy, it was about the town they all loved. The realization washed over the diner, igniting sparks of courage among the patrons. Heads nodded, murmurs turned into supportive declarations, and soon the diner buzzed with renewed energy, but in the midst of it all, Marcy stood still, the cocky smile fading from her face. For a brief moment, Fredegund wondered if the power of their unity was breaking through Marcy's bravado. Don't think this changes anything, Marcy finally spat, her voice tinged with desperation. People will believe what they want to believe. But Fredegund wasn't listening anymore. Fear had been replaced by determination. She turned to her daughter, we will create something better from this. We can't let anyone tear us apart. Mom, I've got your back. Always, Lily said, grasping her hand tightly. With that, Fredegund felt a solid foundation forming beneath her. The town was behind her, and they were all in this together. Yet as optimism filled the air, the weight of Marcy's final words loomed. What was she scheming now? Fredegund couldn't shake the feeling that the battle was just beginning. With every word spoken in the diner, a new resolve was brewing among them. But what would be the ultimate test of their unity? The moment of truth felt closer than ever, lurking just beyond the threshold of their new beginnings. Could Fredegund and Lily bring the town together when the real storm hit? Little did they know, Marcy had one more trick up her sleeve. The momentary buzz of excitement faded as quickly as it had arrived. Fredegund felt the pressure in her chest rise again, like the storm clouds synonymous with her fears. Amid the clamor of voices, the realization that they were standing on the edge of something big weighed heavily on her. Listen up, everyone. Fredegund called, her voice steady. We need to rally together, not just for the festival, but for our community. We've faced challenges before, and this time, we're not backing down. We're going to innovate instead of retreating. The room quieted, and eyes widened. Lily squeezed her mother's hand, and Fredegund could see the fire igniting in her daughter's spirit. Sam leaned against the counter, nodding in agreement, as if welcoming an army march into battle. But how? A voice called from the back. It was condescending, and Fredegund recognized it as Janet, one of Marcy's friends. What can we do with all this negativity surrounding us? Fredegund straightened, fighting back the urge to let doubters get to her. We can use this. She gestured widely, meeting the gaze of every diner patron. Let us turn this scandal on its head. We'll showcase our town's heart. We will prove who we really are. What if it doesn't work? Another voice mumbled, a flicker of uncertainty hanging in the air. Fredegund took a deep breath, steadying herself. Then we make it work, she said firmly. We don't give up. We show everyone that we refuse to be defined by someone else's narrative. We come together and create our own story. Lily's excitement surged, a grin breaking across her face as she echoed, yeah. We can have pop-up events. Local artists can showcase their work. Food trucks with family recipes. Music that everyone loves. Ideas began to ripple through the crowd. An impassioned debate ensued about parade floats, food options, and live performances. Fredegund marveled at her community, as each unique voice added to a chorus of hope, yet Marcy didn't sit idle. The shifts in energy didn't escape her, a furious expression etched on her face. Fredegund could almost see the gears turning in Marcy's mind. What was brewing over there? Clarity! Marcy shouted, cutting through the aspirations floating around the diner. The room instantly quieted again. You think your little ideas can overshadow the truth? The town won't forget. I won't let them. A chill swept through Fredegund, but instead of retreating, she pressed on. You can try, Marcy. But we are not just ideas or headlines. We are our community and love, and that's far more powerful than gossip. People will see that. You're delusional if you think they care. Marcy shot back, but Fredegund noticed the tremor in her voice. It was tinged with something deeper, fear perhaps, or insecurity. Lily leaned closer to her mother, in that whisper layout that always felt like a pact. Mom, what if she's right? What if they don't care? Fredegund turned to her daughter, her heart swelling again at Lily's concern. They will care, sweetie. We just need to show them. To remind them. It starts right here, right now. As they turned back to the folks in the diner, Fredegund encouraged them, her voice gaining momentum. Let us brainstorm. Flood social media. Reach out to everyone you know. Let us make this festival a celebration of who we truly are. And just as the energy ignited to an almost tangible pulse, a loud crash echoed from outside, silencing the room. All heads turned toward the diner's door, where a silhouette stood, a familiar figure obscured by the light. Fredegund's breath hitched. Could it be? What new dark news did Marcy have in store? The tension hung in the air thick and heavy. What was coming next? Fredegund's heart raced as the figure at the door stepped into the diner's fluorescent light. It was Samuel, the town's mayor, and he looked uncharacteristically serious. The exuberance from moments before faded, replaced by a taut silence that wound through the room like a live wire. Mayor Samuel, what's going on? Fredegund called, her voice steady, even as unease clawed at her insides. He stepped forward, his brow creased with concern. I've just received some troubling news. There was a protest outside the community center, and it got out of hand. People are spouting rumors. A collective gasp echoed around the diner. Fredegund felt a sinking feeling crystallize in her stomach. She had hoped to gather strength from the community's energy, to fight against Marcy's negativity, but now reality threatened to strike a hard blow. What rumors? Janet asked, her tone laced with skepticism. The same hand that had challenged Fredegund not long ago now reached for the truth like it could offer safety. Some folks are saying the festival is a cover-up, a distraction from serious issues in town. They're saying we're trying to shift focus away from the scandal, Samuel explained, frustration flashing in his eyes. We need to act fast before this spirals. Fredegund's chest tightened. But the festival is meant to unite us, to remind people why this town matters. She exclaimed, the warmth of her conviction almost faltering under the pressure. I know that, but we have to combat this narrative, he replied, desperation creeping into his voice. Right now, it's about damage control. If we don't address it head-on, it could spiral out of control. People need to see we're united in purpose, not just waving a flag to mask a problem. Lily breathed in sharply, her small hand squeezing Fredegund's tightly. Mom, we can't give up, right? Her young voice wavered, and Fredegund's heart broke at the shadow of doubt dancing across her daughter's face. No, we won't, Fredegund declared, her gaze strong. We'll flip the narrative. We will show what our town stands for. We need a meeting, someone to rally our vision. We should organize a town hall tonight. But what if people are still skeptical? Janet interjected, her tone having softened slightly, revealing suspicion without losing her edge. Fredegund turned her gaze to the group, meeting their worried faces. Then we listen to their concerns. We hear them out. And we let them see exactly what this festival is about: a celebration, not a distraction. A flicker of agreement spread among the crowd, and Sam nodded, crossing his arms. That's good. Keep people engaged. Invite them into the process. Transparency can be our ally. Just then, a raucous sound echoed through the diner. The protesters outside were swirling their chants, rage spilling onto the streets. Fredegund felt a surge of urgency rippling through her. Patterns of composure began forming in the currents of uncertainty. "Let us get to work, everyone," she said, once again packing her voice with purpose. "Social media posts, flyers, whatever it takes to spread the word about the town hall. We don't shrink back when times get tough. We step forward." Just as hope began to seed itself among them, another crash rang through the air. The diner's glass door swung open forcefully, and Marcy stormed in, casual disdain written on her face. "I thought I'd find you here, Fredegund," she spat, the night air clinging to her like a shroud. Fredegund's breath caught. "What now?" Marcy's eyes glinted with mischief. "You think all this feigned unity is going to save you? The real truth will come out, and trust me, it won't be pretty." An uneasy hush settled once more. The tension pulsed, the stakes had just raised. Fredegund's insides swirled. Was this a moment of triumph or a cruel twist of fate? "What does she know?" Lily whispered, slipping even closer to Fredegund, her worry wrapping around them like vines. "Let us find out," Fredegund muttered, determination flaring anew. None of this could break them. And with that thought pulsing in her heart, she stepped toward Marcy, ready to confront whatever dark storm was brewing next. Fredegund stepped forward, each tread measured, her resolve hardening like granite. "What do you mean, Marcy? What truth are you talking about?" She kept her voice steady, even when every instinct screamed to retreat. Marcy leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, a smirk curling at the corners of her lips. "Oh, come on, Fredegund. I thought you were smarter than that. Everyone knows the mayor has his secrets, and your precious festival is just a shiny cover for the dirt underneath." Whispers rippled through the diner, a swelling tide of anxiety washing over the patrons. Janet's gaze flicked to the door as if gauging an exit, while others exchanged nervous glances. Fredegund felt the air dull around her, heavy with skepticism and fear. "Listen, Marcy," she said, stepping closer. The closeness was a gamble, but she couldn't back down now. "Whatever you think you know, this town stands for more than rumors. We're stronger than petty lies." She could feel Samuel's anxious presence behind her, a grounding force. "We can't let them derail us," he said lowly, his voice barely above a whisper, yet she recognized the strength in him. Marcy laughed, a short, sharp sound that cut through the diner's nervous atmosphere. "You think strength comes from denial? People are waking up, Fredegund. They're questioning everything: your motives, the town council, even your so-called vision. And I'll be right there to show them the truth." Fredegund's heart pounded in her chest. "And what truth is that? That we love our town? That we want to celebrate and rebuild after a hard year? How is that wrong?" Marcy tilted her head, a glimmer of something dangerous in her eyes. "What about the money that goes into this festival? Who's pocketing it? Do you actually think the townspeople don't see it? They have questions, and they want answers. Just wait." Fredegund's fists clenched. She refused to let her dream of the festival slip away into doubt and fear. "Then let them ask. We'll host a town hall, we'll encourage them to speak their minds. We have nothing to hide." Her words echoed, strong and unwavering. The diner fell silent, captivated by the intensity blossoming between Fredegund and Marcy. It was electric, an unspoken challenge from one woman to another. Despite the weight of the impending storm, Fredegund felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the moment they needed to turn things around, but Marcy leaned back, breaking the tension with a quiet confidence. Good luck with that. I'll be there, and I can't wait to watch you try to convince them. Let us see how strong your unity really is when the truth cuts through all your happy little lies. With a swirling blend of disbelief and defiance, Sam stepped forward. We will be transparent. And you're invited, Marcy. This is a chance for the whole town to come together. But the truth you speak of? It belongs to us, not you. You may have your supporters, but we have each other. Fredegund felt Samuel's support reignite her conviction. He was right. They had built something here, and they would defend it. They would shine a light on everything, a hard truth, but an honest one. Our doors are open, Marcy, Fredegund said, her voice steady. But your darkness won't scare us. Bring your doubts, we'll face them together. Let us see if that resolve lasts, Marcy shot back, her smirk fading slightly. I'll be counting down the hours until the meeting. Don't be late. As Marcy stormed out, the air seemed to shift, uncertainty melting into cautious resolve. Fredegund turned to the diner's patrons, their faces now a mix of alarm and hope. We can do this. She called out. We're strong, we can turn this around. All eyes were on her, a flicker of belief sparking among them. They watched as Fredegund stood, not just as their neighbor, but as their beacon of resilience, but as the crowd rallied around her, Fredegund couldn't shake the gnawing dread in her gut. Was it truly as simple as confronting Marcy and exposing the truth? Or was there a deeper scar lurking beneath the surface of their town, one that might unravel everything she held? Dear, striding forward, she boldly declared, tonight, we gather. Let us show this town what we're made of. Yet as the diners set to work, Fredegund's heart whispered a different question: what happens when the truth becomes too painful to bear? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an amber glow across the small town. Fredegund stood near the diner's entrance, her heart racing at the thought of the gathering ahead. Every inch of her felt alive with anticipation and dread. The voices of her neighbors swirled in her mind, hampering her confidence. Would they rally behind her, or would Marcy's words have twisted their faith? As night fell, a soft wind coursed through the streets, rustling the autumn leaves. The steady rhythm of footsteps echoed, mixing with murmurs of apprehension. One by one, town members trickled in, their expressions a blend of hope and fear. They took their seats in the makeshift hall Fredegund had organized, the diner's corner transformed into a space of unity. Fredegund cleared her throat, drawing the attention of her neighbors. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice shaky at first, but gaining strength with each word. Tonight, we stand here together because we believe in our town. We believe in hope, and we believe in facing our truths. A ripple of nervous laughter broke the tension, a handful of familiar smiles shining back at her. Janet, seated in the front row, nodded encouragement. Samuel was a few feet away, his eyes locked onto hers, radiating unwavering support. I know that what Marcy said has stirred doubts, Fredegund continued. But let us talk openly. If there are concerns, let us address them. If there are questions, let us answer them together. An uneasy silence enveloped the room. She could feel her heart thundering in her chest as raised hands slowly began to appear. Fredegund, what about the funds for the festival? Asked one voice from the back, shaky but determined. How do we know they're not being mishandled? Fredegund exhaled slowly, aware that the first question was often the hardest to confront. Transparency, total transparency. I proposed a complete breakdown of our budget. There's nothing to hide, and all of us can look at it together. But what if it's all fluff? Another raised voice interjected, skepticism lining their tone. How can we trust you? How can you trust me? Fredegund repeated softly, her heart aching at the vulnerability exposed. All I can offer is my commitment. I want our town to thrive. Our festival is about celebrating who we are, not just as individuals but as a community. As she spoke, Fredegund felt the tension shift, doubt slowly turning into understanding. Voices merged, each adding layers to the conversation. We've held together during tough times. Why wouldn't we keep holding together now? Samuel chimed in, I've lived here my whole life, and what matters is us each other. Marcy's words can't tear our unity apart if we don't let them. We need each other more than ever. The room swelled with murmurs of agreement, encouragement rippling through the gathered crowd. Still, a shadow loomed in Fredegund's mind. She had managed to rally them for now, but she couldn't shake the sense that Marcy's influence was still out there, brewing. What about you, Fredegund? Janet's voice broke through the crowd. Have you ever felt tempted to hide something? Are you willing to put it all out there? Fredegund opened her mouth, and for a heartbeat, she hesitated, emotions swirling like a tempest within her. Here it was the moment of truth. I've made mistakes, just like everyone else, she replied, feeling the weight of honesty wash over her. But I've always believed we can learn and grow from them. As the room went silent again, Fredegund's heart beat loudly in her ears. This was her moment to connect, to show them she was just like them. Unfortunately, the fear remained, a whisper on her shoulder telling her that revealing too much could also break them apart. Well, if we're talking honesty, a voice rang out from the back, we have to know if you can really lead us through the storm ahead. The challenge ignited a fire in Fredegund. I won't back down. I will fight for this town, even if the truth hurts sometimes. The crowd stirred with renewed energy. But deep down, Fredegund felt the ground shift beneath her once more. What secrets lay hidden, waiting to surface? With the town rallying behind her, what would happen when the truth came knocking at her door, ready to shake everything she had built to its core? As she took a deep breath, Fredegund knew the road ahead would be anything but easy. But she was ready to face the shadows, even if it meant risking everything. Would tonight be a stepping stone to healing, or a fracture within their fragile community? The energy in the diner was electric, a mix of scrutiny, hope, and trepidation. Fredegund could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on her, searching for a sign of weakness, for some flicker of doubt. She straightened her shoulders and drew in a breath deep enough to fill her chest. She had to give them more than just words. All right, she said, her voice clearer now, a firm tremor lacing it. If we're going to do this together, we have to lay everything on the table. No more hiding, no more whispers in the dark. Let us talk about the festival, yes, but let us not forget the roots of our community. Let us dig into the issues we face. Another hand shot up. A familiar face, Roger, looking unusually tense. What if we can't pull this off? What if we fail? Fredegund paused. That question hung heavy in the air. It was the fear that clung to every heart, a fear of inadequacy that had nested there for too long. Failure is part of trying, she replied. But not trying that's worse. Each of us deserves a chance to make this work. Together. We can't let fear muscle its way into our hearts. Murmurs of agreement swept through the crowd, but the shadows of doubt still lingered in many eyes. No matter how many hopeful expressions she met, she knew trouble was brewing just beneath the surface. Can every one of us commit to that? Samuel broke in again. His voice rose, there was urgency in it. Can we promise to support each other? Because this isn't just about Fredegund or the festival, it's about all of us. We can promise. Janet called out, her voice ringing with conviction, and a few others echoed her. Fredegund's heart lightened just a bit. She was amongst people who cared deeply, they just needed the courage to show it. That's right. If we're transparent and invest wholeheartedly, we can bring the festival back to life as a celebration of our unity. But her voice faltered momentarily, a pinch of uncertainty creeping back in. But there's something I need to say. About Marcy. The collective breath in the room shifted as people leaned in. This was the thorn they had all felt, the specter of her rival's deceit hanging like a dark cloud. I don't want us to worry only about the festival here. What Marcy said struck deeper. It seeped into our trust. We have to rebuild that trust together. As she spoke, she noticed some faces harden at the name. They were grappling with old insecurities, old wounds. Fredegund could see it. People clung to their fears like life buoys, keeping them afloat. Let us replace the rumors with truths, she insisted, emboldened. I want us to come up with a plan, regular meetings, a community board where our discussions can happen openly, so nothing remains hidden. How about we name it Voices from the Heart? Because that's what we need. A wave of energy surged at the mention of a new beginning. People nodded, some whispered excitedly. A few brave souls even clapped, breaking into soft laughter. As they discussed possible themes for the festival, Fredegund looked around, and a seed of hope planted in her heart. That thought, the imagery of people gathering together to celebrate their essence, lit a fire deep within, but the meeting pressed on, and just as the atmosphere lifted, the door swung open with a bang. The shadows outside spilled in, accompanied by the unmistakably sharp silhouette of Marcy. Fredegund's stomach dropped. It was as if the lifeline she had just created dangled precariously off the edge. Fredegund, Marcy's voice cut through the chatter, smooth and venomous. I hear you're trying to unite the town. But it seems you've overlooked one crucial detail. Fredegund's heart raced. What was Marcy's next move? Would she tear apart the fragile foundation Fredegund had started to build? The tension thickened. This was about to get complicated. And in that moment, Fredegund realized, the battle wasn't over. She couldn't let Marcy win, not without a fight. But how? As the echoes of Marcy's voice filled the air, a new chapter loomed on the horizon, and Fredegund knew it would take everything she had to keep her community intact. Would she be able to stand her ground when the tide turned dark? Marcy glided into the diner with an air of confidence, her eyes scanning the room like a predator sizing up its prey. Fredegund's heart thudded in her chest. It felt like every moment suspended in uncertainty, the community she had just sparked to life now teetering at the edge of chaos. What crucial detail have I overlooked, Marcy? Fredegund asked, forcing her voice to remain steady. She refused to let fear dictate her response, but the lump in her throat made it hard to swallow. Marcy smirked, crossing her arms in a self-assured pose. You think you can rally everyone together after the way I was treated? Her words dripped with condescension. You really believe they will forget how you led a mob against me? The murmurs erupted. Fredegund could feel the tension crackle in the air as the faces around her shifted from hopeful to uncertain. Voices began to rise in protest, reminding Marcy that she wasn't as popular as before. But the whispering didn't drown out her words. Let me remind you, Fredegund, that even while you mold your little community, I am still a part of this town. Whether you like it or not, the truth of my departure still rests heavy on all of us. Each word was a blow aimed at Fredegund's confidence, and she struggled to find footing. Yet, deep within, she knew that all the emotions swirling around her, doubt, anger, resentment, could fuel a fire of resilience instead. Marcy, she said, lifting her chin, I'm not asking everyone to forget. I'm asking for unity. The festival is a chance for us to come together, to acknowledge the past but choose a better future. You can be part of that too. The weight of her words hung in the air, and for a moment, even Marcy seemed to falter. Fredegund caught glimpses of surprise from her neighbors, a mix of support and hope flickering in their eyes. But then Marcy laughed, a sound sharp enough to cut. Oh please. You think this feels like unity to them? You think they want to stand beside someone who led their beloved town through chaos? She turned towards the group, her voice raising an octave. What will they be celebrating? The humiliation? The lies? A murmur of unease swept through the diner. Fredegund could sense the uncertainty creeping back in. Panic rose in her chest, but she quickly took a deep breath, swallowing it down. This isn't about me or you, Marcy. It's about us. The festival doesn't have to symbolize hurt, it can symbolize healing. But that starts with open discussions, with addressing our grievances together. Wouldn't you want to be part of that? Marcy narrowed her eyes, unwilling to show any vulnerability. What do you really expect, Fredegund? They'll believe you over me? Look at the history between us. Her frustration cut through the rising chatter like a jagged knife. Fredegund's heart raced, the stakes felt impossibly high. I expect honesty, she said firmly, words pouring from her heart, gripping the audience. The truth is messy, Marcy. We all carry our burdens. But I choose to believe we can lift them together. Across the room, the air crackled with indecision. Fredegund's gaze darted from face to face, searching for solidarity. A few steely glances softened, and she clung to that thread of hope. If she was going to break the stranglehold of fear and division, she needed something more. Let us have a discussion now, she called out, her voice gaining strength. A real one. No cameras, just the voices that matter. If Marcy is willing to share her side, then let us hash this out, right here, right now. Her challenge hung in the air, daring Marcy, daring the crowd. Fredegund was ready to fight for transparency, but a piece of her wished it wouldn't come to that. She could feel her vulnerability peeking through, a tremor beneath her resolve, but the stakes had changed. What if Marcy accepted? What if the past could be addressed, and a way forward illuminated? Marcy's calculating stare locked onto Fredegund. There was fire in her eyes, a flicker of interest. I suppose I could entertain the idea, but only for the sake of this unity you speak of. The crowd shifted. Anticipation laced with tension. Fredegund realized they stood at a pivotal moment, one that might just determine the course of their community. With bated breath, she waited. Would Marcy take the bait, or would she retreat into her shadowy past? The air felt thick, possibilities spinning like webs of fate. The tension wrapped around Fredegund, an invitation to the unknown. Could she guide them all toward something brighter? Or would this be yet another bitter chapter in their history? As they navigated through complexities, Fredegund held her breath, ready to embrace whatever was yet to come. Fredegund stood in the diner, feeling the weight of every gaze in the room as she faced Marcy. The tension crackled like static electricity. Let us settle this, Fredegund, Marcy replied, her voice confused, nothing like the bravado she usually wielded. What are you really trying to accomplish here? Unity, Fredegund said simply, a calmness spreading through her despite the whirlwind of emotions. If you really want to be part of this town's future, you have to realize it's not about tearing each other down anymore. We need to build bridges. A flicker of hesitation flashed in Marcy's eyes, but there was still a defiant edge. A beautiful sentiment, but reality doesn't conform to pretty words. Everyone knows I'm the one they listen to. No, Marcy, Fredegund countered, the fire in her heart blazing stronger. People want to feel safe. They need to see their voices matter. Let us show them what community means. The diner buzzed with quiet murmurs as patrons began to rally around Fredegund's words. Their nods were hesitant but steady. All right, Marcy said finally, though her tone was laced with sarcasm. Let us have this lovely discussion. She turned and faced the crowd. But we better keep it civil, won't we? Her smirk returned, but the crowd responded with murmurs of encouragement, slowly warming up to Fredegund's proposition. Taking a deep breath, Fredegund gestured for everyone to gather closer. Let us sit together and share our truths, she began. Let us peel back the layers of hurt, of mistrust, so we can truly heal. As Marcy looked around the room, confusion painted her features. Beneath the sarcasm, something new glimmered, curiosity. People started to share their experiences, how doubt had clouded their opinions, how Marcy's words had echoed like a chant in their hearts. Bit by bit, they uncovered their fears of failure and loss. Fredegund sat there, guiding the delicate conversations, absorbing every word. Marcy, a voice called from the back, we just want to know why you felt you had to sabotage the festival? Because some of us have felt pushed aside. Marcy retorted. Fredegund swooped in, and it felt like my efforts meant nothing to her or anyone else. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but rather than anger, Fredegund felt compassion. And they didn't mean nothing, Marcy. But we can't let the past define who we are now. Tell us what you need. Marcy hesitated. For the first time, her posture relaxed as her anger began to ebb into something softer, a realization that maybe being vulnerable could invite understanding. Maybe I just felt threatened, lost my footing when everything around me changed. This town has changed. The response was immediate. Many chimed in, voicing their own adjustments to the new normal. They began to mini-reconcile, finding common ground. Hope uncurled in the heart of their gathering. Lily squeezed Fredegund's hand tightly, her bright eyes alight with courage. This isn't just about Marcy now, is it? She asked, her voice clear and unwavering. We're all learning to adapt. Fredegund nodded proudly at her daughter. Exactly, Lily. We can all shape this together. The festival isn't merely a party, it reflects everything we've overcome. And just like that, Marcy's armor began to crack further. Fine, she said, the edge gone from her voice. Then what do we do to make things right? To make the festival something everyone can celebrate? Fredegund smiled, relief flooding through her as the final walls between them began to crumble. Together, let us redefine it. Let us make it a celebration of our diversity, our stories, and our future. The diners exploded into enthusiastic chatter, ideas swirling like a vibrant tornado of spirit. Fredegund watched as Marcy's once cold demeanor shifted into something more human. This was a transformation not just for Fredegund or Lily, but for the entire town. As they softened the lines of division, Fredegund realized she had achieved what she set out to do. They were shedding the past and stepping into this new chapter together, hearts aligned. As they each grabbed at dreams, casting aside the shadows of mistrust, Fredegund turned to her daughter. You see, sweet girl, real change begins when we choose understanding over fear. With glowing faces, arms raised and laughter filling the space, Fredegund knew that this was not just a victory for her, it was a victory for her community, a fresh perspective igniting hope like a blazing star. Marcy's transformation stood as evidence that redemption could blossom from the ashes of scandal and pain. They were moving forward now, hand in hand. Fredegund's heart swelled with joy as she declared, tonight, we aren't just celebrating a festival. We're celebrating us, all of us. The applause resonated throughout the diner, filling the night with warmth, and as the laughter danced around them, the weight of isolation finally fell away. This was the moment victory anchored itself. And no storm could erase what had begun under Maplewood's sky that evening. If you're inspired by this story of transformation and hope, you need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support and let us bring you more incredible tales. Leave a like immediately to feed the algorithm and share the love. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. You've got to let us know what this meant to you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread the magic of unity.